Yeah, so we're just jamming
okay.
Did you hear us? How does it sound?
Okay. All right. Shawn Stasiak with us today. He's a newbie to RVDTV. He's got to go to the airport in a few minutes, so we're down here, Venice Beach, with the masterpiece.
15-time world champion Lakers, baby. Just gotta throw that out there real quick.
Dude, anything you want to plug, man.
Lakers, baby.
Kushinator. Everybody asked me who did the Rob Van Dam whole fucking show song. Kushmaster, right? So the four of us are together. We're gonna throw together a real quick Friends in High Places episode. The topic for today that I'm gonna throw out on the table is leaving imprints. And what I mean by that is, as far as like legacy, or in other words, we're all mortal and we're all on this planet for so long, and then most likely, according to history, we're gonna be buried under the ground. I was talking to Dave DeFalco, and he was saying, you know, is it all worth it or whatever, because we're all flesh and bones, we're all going to die, and who's going to remember? For all of us here, I think it's important to us that we are remembered. Kush, you doing the music, you know, I'm trying to get him hooked up to do the music on Wrong Side of Town, and that's, you know, that's about being famous. I mean, Shawn, his dad was Stan the Man Stasiak, and people remember that. His dad has passed on, but people talk about him all the time. Chris being a wrestler, myself a wrestler, doing the movies, I think it's important for all of us that even if we're just here for a short amount of time, because life is so fucking short, it's important that we're remembered, you know, by people. And that's the closest thing we can do to being immortal. Even if our bodies die, we can live on and on, like Bruce Lee, Marilyn Monroe,
Tupac Shakur,
yeah,
Jimi Hendrix.
Exactly, all these, they're like, they're icons. Elvis Presley, you know,
yes.
Icons, legends. And I think for all of us, you know, we're all drawn towards that.
Yes.
Actually, it is kind of ironic that today marks the 12th anniversary of my father. He passed away on June 19, 1997. And when you talk about legacy, for me, it's funny because it's like his spirit is always around. Not just some of the spiritual synchronicities that I've shared with you and I've talked about, but it's also, you know, like, just simply, you know, fans writing in, sending pictures, things I've never seen before. They'll say, hey, I took this picture of your dad back in 1960, whatever, right, against Bruno Sammartino, and these are pictures that I've never seen. It's like his spirit just lives on, and so it's like I learned more about my dad that he's been passed, you know, than I did when I was growing up, you know, around him. So it's his legacy just continues to grow on me.
And you always wanted to be on TV shows or movies or wrestling. Have you ever really thought about behind that, the drive behind that makes you want to reach out and connect with as many people on the planet as possible?
Well, I think about the mark I would leave behind, but a lot of that is just based on people from the past that have left marks. It's like, can I leave a mark, you know, and this is obviously completely way off, but like you think about somebody like Martin Luther King, who's obviously been dead a long time, but look at the mark he left, and then you also look at how far we've come, and I think about guys like him, and as funny as it sounds, but Tupac Shakur, and then to fast forward to today, where we have a black president, and these guys never even knew if that was, I mean, I just kind of think, what would they be thinking from kind of where they were at in their lives? Like Tupac even said in one of his raps, he made reference to, you know, never ever seen a black president. So I think sometimes I'm like, well, you know, what would he be thinking if he was still living now today? And, you know, even more so Martin Luther King, to see that we have a black leader of this country. So, you know, it's just kind of interesting. But I mean, I do think obviously about, you know, what am I going to leave here, even beyond wrestling, because, you know, wrestling's, you know, small in comparison to, you know, what we're talking about right now.
It is, but even through wrestling, I think about that. Like every time I'm on a new action figure in a new video game, I think about how that might be around longer than me. I don't know, you know, but it certainly could be. It's something with my image, and with WWE, you get put on so much merchandise that's going to be out there, and, you know, little kids will be playing with your toy. Who knows how long? I mean, I know a lot of people have a lot of action figures from the 80s, and half of those wrestlers have died, you know. Like the history, you know, people, you want to test a fan, name the WWF, which I used to be, or now WWE World Champions. Your dad was what, number 3?
Number 5, yeah, back in 1973, beat Pedro Morales and then lost it to Bruno Sammartino. But that just, you know, you talk to someone like Officer X and he'll bring that up, and he remembers that. It had a profound effect on people.
Yeah.
I just want to interject a point too when you're talking about, you know, I guess growing up for me, I had my favorites too, but Ultimate Warrior was somebody that I always idolized growing up as a kid. But it was his message that he stood for behind the whole makeup and the gimmick. and it was, always believe, never say never, never die attitude. And he made a point that always stuck with me the last couple of years that I reflected on. It said, think about what you could do on this planet while you're here, because it's a very short time, but do something here that will last forever. Meaning, and that really stuck with me, because we are only here so long. This is a very temporary stay. And for me, now that I'm, I had the wrestling experience on TV for a while, and now I'm, a chiropractor, and I'm taking everything I've done. I believe that my purpose here is to change lives, as many lives as possible. To be Mr. Entertaining Shawn, like I am, but to do something that has merit, that has substance, that people can reflect on, take reference to, that help change lives and get passed down. That's so important for me, to have true fulfillment and a real true purpose while I'm here. It's one thing to entertain, right, but do something with that form, do something with that notoriety, like yourself and you too, Chris. But I'm sorry to finish my point, but it's just, for me, it's so important to be able to know that when my time is past here, that I did something that can really be reflected on and change lives.
Helping people on their journey.
Right, and help them stand in their greatness.
Right. What were you going to interject?
I have a question that to put out there that.
Is it why don't I go back to WWE so I can
No. It says nothing to do with
that. Okay.
No. It says nothing to do with that.
Because I get asked that a lot by him and everybody.
Yeah, exactly. But I did see on the last pay-per-view, and you fans know that the guy was holding up WWE needs RVD.
Right.
Yeah. Let's do the whole pay-per-view.
That's
what are you doing back?
That's making history. Every time someone watches that pay-per-view on DVD, my name's there. Isn't that good enough?
I know you weren't even. But your energy was there. All right. So basically, my point is, which I'm sure you come to a lot, and I'm sure I can feel it. When do you stop? Because I'm sure it's stressful. Because I run 3 businesses. And I'm trying to do the music, and you know how much stress I have with the businesses. And then it comes to a point where, when do you just stop and just be like, I just had enough? Do I keep pushing? Do I keep stressing? Do I keep just pushing? Do I need to be just the biggest, most popular? Because when I was younger, it was all about, I want to be as big as Elvis, bigger than Michael Jackson, everybody all thrown together. And as I get older, it's like I start businesses, and then it's just like I'm under stress. But then I come to think about the universe, and is this really right? Do I need to just let myself accept myself that the universe will help me to just make it happen, and just believe that energy is just right and it's supposed to happen, and it will happen. Don't stress over it.
Right.
So it's a point where you stop and the stress, and then you're gonna just let the energy of the universe just let you go.
For me, it's more about purpose driven. I feel like I'm here on this planet for a reason.
Yeah,
and for me, it's about changing the world, and not just with wrestling. A lot of people say, that I really changed the industry, and I did. But if they look at Rob Van Dam, if they look at RVDTV or listen to RVD Radio, whatever, they see that I'm a lot more of a philosopher than you'd ever know from WWE. And I try to motivate people to think and change their way. Energy never stops. It continues and it changes paths, and so it's more about that. So for me,
so why do people retire?
But then they still do something else. I mean, if it's their purpose, for me, and I'm not retired, by the way. I'll let everyone know if I'm done. I don't know if I'm done. I'm just taking an indefinite break, and I'm not ready to go back.
He's not going to retire.
No, I probably won't. But so I wrestled, but I felt like, for me, I've done what I could do there. I know I make people happy. When they see me on TV once a week, or when I'm in their town that day.
How many times have you been champion?
I don't know, but I've had more belts than any other world champion. With that, more decorated former world champion, according to rumor. But now there's other things that I want to do too. And one of the main reasons that I quit is I felt meaningless. My whole schedule of life felt monotonous to me at that point. I wanted to actually do this. I wanted to use my brain. I couldn't figure out how to wrestle and use my brain at the same time. So I had to choose.
You just gave wrestling a really bad name right there.
Well, no, but for me, I felt like I was a cog, in the machine. I felt like I was just doing my part. I'm like, the show was going to go on without me or whatever, and I really needed to break out of that. And even though the fans miss seeing me right now, they're going to see me in a bigger way than they ever have sometime. And I don't know, it could be from the movies, it could be from books I write, it could be something I don't even know. I could be a huge radio DJ. It could be something I'm not even doing now. Maybe the motivational speaking, maybe President RVD, who the fuck knows, but I don't feel like I'm done. I feel like I've delivered the message that was there for me to deliver with wrestling.
So Rob, with all that being said, let me ask you this, for you and the purpose of this episode, of RVDTV. What is it that your main objective is in all these things that you've done and accomplished in your life? What would be your main message that you want to give the people?
My main message
for your legacy, for you to be remembered about. What would you want to be remembered by?
For I'm one of a kind. My song says it every time.
Who doesn't?
Every time. No, it's my old song.
Yeah, your old
What's my new song say?
Rob Van Dam, the whole fucking show.
That's right. Chair shot straight to your brain.
Yeah, it's better.
It's a real chair shot. If you didn't watch the episode where we did Master's song.
He gave it to him.
But so anyway, my message definitely is for people to stop hating everybody for being different and to celebrate your individuality. Every time I've been in the ring, JR, whoever's commentating, says RVD, these unorthodox moves. Everyone always thinks I'm a weirdo. They don't know what to do with me when I don't fit in the formula. I'm a square peg, But I love that. And the thing is, there's only one you. Everyone looks at me like, oh, you're lucky because of this or that. Like I was explaining yesterday. Everyone says I'm lucky for 1,000 things. Eventually, it's not luck. It's me being who I am. I don't think rules and tradition are made for me because they were made before me. This is my only shot at life. It's the way that I think. And my message definitely is for people to celebrate their individuality, to grasp and hold and own the fact that you are an individual, that nobody thinks exactly like you do. When they see the same thing, when we all look at a hot air balloon, we're all actually thinking something different. We have a different take. And I'm happy with that. So it's stupid to hate people, make fun of them, whatever, because they're different. Thank God they're different. So that's my message.
Your main question. What was that main question you started off with?
Well, the question is, what would my message be through everything that I've done? My message is to celebrate your individuality, and be glad that you're different. At the same time, that has been more and more apparent later in my career. At first, the thing about being famous, I understood it as a scale of successfulness. Like I knew, okay, I'm getting into wrestling. Wow, I'm in the magazines now. Wow, I've done a couple TV shows. The more people that see you in this kind of business, the higher star you are, the more you're worth. And looking at it from business, like the more fans that you have, from 500 fans, like you don't have a lot of fans yet. A lot of people haven't heard you play yet, but they're gonna. Well, but I mean, like when Kushinator, like he put together his album already, but it's not in the stores. People haven't heard it, they haven't been exposed. But I mean, that's the only difference is that you haven't been heard.
It's horrible.
Once you're heard, that all changes. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be playing out here. When are you playing?
We're not. It got
June.
canceled. Oh. Because the guy that set up the show, his drummer canceled out, so it's now gonna get postponed for like another month.
Right on. Well, anyway, Wrong Side of Town is gonna feature Kushinator's music, and anyway, you're gonna blow up. And it's like the more fans you have, the more you're worth, and the more people will support you, no matter what you do, because they're your fans. I've always understood that. But looking at it from this perspective, it's also really about so you can like live on in spirit. Don't you think?
What would your message be as far as leaving a legacy behind?
Well, I don't know what my legacy necessarily is going to be, but I just feel like we're talking a lot about what the mark people leave, through their life and all that. I just look at it as of right now. You set goals and you accomplish what it is that you feel like you need to accomplish in it. You only have one life. You can move on to. Doesn't mean you necessarily just have to wrestle. If you've accomplished everything you want in professional wrestling and you feel like fulfilled and satisfied there, then I fully encourage you to move on to the next challenge, because that just diversifies your life and it also expands what you've done. It doesn't just limit you to professional wrestling. You look at a guy like The Rock, for instance, he did everything you could possibly do in pro wrestling, and now he's moved on to movies, and who knows what he'll move on to beyond that. But I just think.
I think it's important to have a deeper message. It doesn't. All this on this planet is just content. It will pass. It won't mean anything. And I believe to have some real deeper meaning, purpose behind the underlying message of the whole thing. Then yeah, you can act. You can make millions of dollars. You can be a pro wrestling champion. You can do this and do that. But at the end of the day, we're all going to go. And what is the main culprit? What's the main message you're going to send? That to me, it's about giving and sharing and creating as much positive energy as possible.
Well, through my success, I'll share my story of all the adversity that I've faced in my life, because I know that I have a story to tell.
Give people hope and
keep moving. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I have a story. Yeah, I do have a story to tell, and it's something that I'll be, really interested to share with everybody. Sure. As time goes on, but it's still, if I look at my life like a book, you know what I mean? And we're not at chapter 12.
My life's a book.
Yeah, exactly. So we're at a certain chapter right now, and I'm just waiting for the chapters to progress.
I'm jumping in between chapters.
I remember when I was a kid, the first time I actually thought about this, the kid that got me to watch wrestling, Jason Clute, he made a comment. He was proud. He was bragging about his grandpa, and he said, yeah, my grandpa left his mark in this city. And I was like, what? Yeah, my grandpa left his mark in this city. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, all the construction work. He was a contract guy, and he made curbs, like pour the cement, you know, and he said, hey, you can go down the main street. My grandpa made that curb. And I was like, you know, you see the parallel though? See the parallel? I was like, wow, like for years and years after grandpa's gone, he can tell people, my grandpa made that, you know, and it's like the same thing, but with us, it's in the entertainment field right now. Maybe political in some degrees, you know, influencing people, you know, in different ways. But you see the parallels, right?
Sure.
You got a message that you'd like to leave?
How famous do you want to be? How big do you want to?
See, here's something too. Like you know, I'm glad you asked that. Masterpiece said something about, you know, when he was a kid or whatever, setting his goals, thinking, wow, could I ever be, you know, could I ever be like as famous or as like Martin Luther King and be that huge of an icon? For me, I've never seen myself going after someone else's position. I'm always just following my own path and seeing where it goes. And I can't see outside of my own box, just like a lot of people can't. I don't know how big of a star other people see me as, but I know that I feel like the world knows me. You know, like everywhere I go, no matter what city or state or whatever, I feel like everybody knows me. I walk into a restaurant somewhere, and maybe not everybody, but there's people that know me. Hey Rob, what's up? And obviously I've come across in some kind of approachable, cool way to where they feel like they know me and like we're friends or whatever. And I'm used to that. I don't know any different.
Let's test it right now.
I think my next chapter is to catch this plane on time.
Yeah, okay, you got anything you want to plug? You said you got a website coming up?
Yeah, website, DrShawnStipich.com.
Shawn is S-H-A-W-N.
S-H-A-W-N, and last name S-T-I-P-I-C-H.com. Dr. Shawn Stasiak.
That's under construction or it's up now?
It's up now, but it's in the bare bones. We're working. We're going to add more content to it and develop it. And then I'm going to have ShawnStasiak.com, which will be more of a wrestling
I got a
thing.
slogan for you. We'll crack your jack back.
We'll work on it. Yeah.
Masterpiece. Anything big in your life to plug?
Nothing necessarily.
Nothing.
No.
Watch out for
Going
TV
great.
and something
Good to be on RVDTV.
special might happen.
Yeah, that's how I'm
Thanks for joining us, dude. Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll get you to the airport. Thanks, Kushi. You got anything to plug? You never do. Wrong Side of Town soundtrack.
Wrong side of town. Yeah, whatever. Kushinator.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
Right on, brothers.
Very cool.
All right, man.
Thanks a lot.
I hope I catch the plane.
Yeah, I'm sure you did, dude.
I want you.
Hey, look at that, dude.